the public, the public continues to lend support and for us to resolve these cases. We greatly appreciate that assistance from the community.
And I want to say I really appreciate, up front when we had the first interview, I asked for help from the community, and I want to say that I really appreciate all of the tips that came in from the community that helped us bring this case to a resolve.
Yeah. And so, again, this is a fluid investigation. There may or may not be additional arrest. I've often said we're not going to tolerate this type of violent behavior in our community, certainly not perpetrated on our children. These are our children. We're not always, unfortunately, in a position to prevent these type of things, but I can assure you we're not going to rest until these things are happening, or at least that we bring justice and certainly make an arrest. Also, would be remiss if I didn't thank the Mobile County Sheriff, Paul Birch, who's not here with us tonight, for his assistance in this and being able to locate and apprehend the vehicle that we believe earlier today was involved in it. And certainly without him, his assistant, and certainly the deputies out in the county area, we more than likely wouldn't at least be here right now with the update tonight. Again, there's very limited information we can give. I'll certainly give you an opportunity to ask a few questions, but understanding that the information will be limited, certainly because this is an ongoing investigation. And as I've said, unfortunately, in previous cases involving our children, we're not going to rest until there are all individuals responsible that have been locked up and waiting for trial. That's important for me, so I don't want to do anything to jeopardize certainly this investigation, but I will give you an opportunity to ask a few questions.
Was one or both of them the shooters?
Yeah, so again, we know that we have at least one shooter, but under Alabama law, whether someone was a shooter, a driver, or complicit or facilitated the crime, as far as we are concerned, they're just as guilty as the person that may have pulled the trigger.
And which one was the shooter?
So that is a matter of court. As you can imagine, these cases become very fluid, and as you can imagine, as we go through, we start finding evidence, whether it's digital evidence, whether it's testimonies, eyewitness information, surveillance information. You have to understand that the investigations become fluid in that information we already have, we may have to corroborate with additional individuals if we're able to identify additional individuals and prosecute them. So it's a great question, but as of right now, I'm not going to be able to answer that. But we're fairly confident that the two individuals, at least tonight, being arrested, are directly involved.
And so the car earlier that we all reported on, that Mobile County Sheriff Paul Birch kind of helped out with, they were found in that car. Is that something that you can say and clarify?
Well, I can tell you at least one of the individuals tonight was found inside of that vehicle that is being arrested, and there were several individuals in that vehicle, but the investigation has to determine if all or any play a role, and we have been able to substantiate that at least one person in that vehicle apprehended by the Sheriff's Department was directly involved.
Have you talked at length to any of these people yet to find out if they've shown any remorse or any emotion at all, or have they just shut down?
Yeah, great question. That's always something that's on our mind, whether it's the victim, their family, or certainly individuals. As to their state of mind, I don't think it's appropriate at this time to discuss that because there would be defense attorneys that would use that information, whether it was good or bad, and to me it's irrelevant. What I'm concerned with is how the victim's family is feeling tonight.
Correct. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think the question we all want to know is why, right?
Yeah.
And so I understand that this is an investigation,
Right.
and we have to go through that.
Sure.
But can we say broadly, was
Yeah.
drugs involved? What caused it?
Well, I can tell you from a very high level, and I appreciate you opening up with that, but at a very high level, it was really a dispute between our victim's brother, one of the brothers, and one of the individuals responsible for the homicide.
Which brings us back to the whole topic of gang violence now.
Yes.
You've talked about the past, few hours actually.
Right.
Is this pretty much confirmation of what you all thought?
Yeah, so, when we say that there's gang activity, what that really simply means is that A lot of the merit of the investigation or things that we already have information on is directly related to that type of activity, whether it's through known associates, whether it's through legitimate named gangs. And so we were very confident, and we still believe that today, that it is involving gang activity. You know, that seems to be a thing that's plagued not only Mobile's community, but nationwide. When you look at the demographics involved in a lot of this gang activity, it hasn't changed, whether it's in Mobile or whether it's in New York. It's 15 to 25. And it just goes to really show you, and you may have heard me the other day when I was really upset when I gave the initial press, is that, you know, it seems that we've lost the last 2 or 3 generations. You know, they have a wanting disregard for human life. And then when you add that to no oversight from family, whether it's, you know, the mom or dad or the grandparents, you know, kids that are left to their own devices, their own senses, their own morality of what's right or wrong, couple that with this subculture of violence that we see amongst our children, we're all surprised. These type of incidences, Darwin, are hideous. But nonetheless, we're left with it, and we're left to clean up the pieces of it. You know, the parents have to have an opportunity to grieve. Our community has to have an opportunity to grieve. Our investigators and our officers that responded to this tragedy has to have an opportunity to grieve. And it's unfortunate, but nonetheless, we're here. And I'm really just frankly pleased, couldn't be more pleased with Major Timms and Captain Bagsby with the work that their people have done. I kid you not, there have been some investigators that have not went home since Monday night or Monday morning when this incident occurred. And that's to their dedication. And at this time, we just certainly want to give the family an opportunity. They still hadn't had an opportunity to grieve their child, their baby. And then now couple this, you know, justice for baby night. You know, it's a lot they're having to process.
This may be from Major Timms. Are you seeing a change in the way the community is reacting to these things? Are you noticing, I mean, this girl's in her home. I mean, these kids aren't, this wasn't a case where a child had gone out and gotten itself in trouble with friends or enemies. And I'm wondering if people realize how vulnerable they are if they don't take part in this whole effort. Are you seeing a sea change or a change in the way that people are responding to you in these investigations?
Now, you know, everybody likes children. So my phone has been ringing off the hook, trying to get involved and help us solve this case.
So people are coming forward on their own?
Yes. The community helped us solve this case.
And I would just, if you don't mind, I'd like to piggyback on what the major's saying. You know, at the end of the day, we've always said something, at least my tenure as the chief, you see something, say something, you hear something, you need to say something, irrespective of how small it is. And both the major and the captain can tell you, even people calling tips into me personally. And of course, I'm sure every single one of them I've sent to the captain for sure. But, you know, our children are the most vulnerable in our society. And this really hits home with one of these precious children that was, to no fault of her own, in a place that should have been the very place of safety and security for her, turned out to be not that. And I will personally tell you, based on what I know, that the community does rally together during these situations. And, you know, we could have that argument about adults that are complicit in known criminal activity, but when it comes to children, I'm probably the biggest crybaby when it comes to our children. Miss Knight's not my baby, but I have an 8-year-old grandbaby. And, you know, I'd be a fool to tell you that when these things happen, that it doesn't resonate and hit home with me. And so, you know, baby Knight doesn't have to be my baby, but she's our baby as a community.
That's correct.
Absolutely.
With these two, they're charged with felony murder. Why felony murder as opposed to murder or capital murder?
I'll let Captain Bagsby
Yeah,
answer.
I'll speak on that. Felony murder because they were complicit in the actions that occurred, and that's what's proven at this time. Changes are, they can change, they can be upgraded, minimized, or that has to go through the process of the grand jury and subsequent trial hearings. But at this time, we can prove that the individuals that we are arresting tonight were complicit in the death of our 9-year-old child, Kayla Knight.
Is it safe to say the vehicle that was found by the SO today, that helped with the arrests that were made tonight?
Absolutely. That vehicle did assist us in this investigation.
So I get the vibe that, and you can answer this or not, that you may still not have the shooter.
Yeah, right. So, it's a great question. You're a smart guy, Darwin. But it doesn't necessarily mean that we don't have. You have to understand that all charges have to be vetted and approved through the district attorney's office. And sometimes, yes, we may have the shooter. We may even know that we have the shooter. But sometimes, we have to work with the district attorney's office, and ultimately they get the final say. And even though sometimes we know we've got the right person, they may require additional evidence before they move forward. And a lot of times what you'll find with the district attorney's office is we know this, we have this may be circumstantial, but we need this. And we don't always agree with them, but at the end of the day, we have no choice but to collaborate with them and to work with them. So at the end of the day, we're very confident that irrespective to who pulled the trigger, 2 people are being arrested tonight for being complicit in the death of this child.
And did one of those 2 own the car that was found today?
I'm not sure if
We can't comment on that at this time. We're still investigating the merits of that. This is still, you have to realize that this is still a fluid investigation, and the potential for other arrests are prominent. And we're going to move on the information that we're continuously getting from the community. So we don't want to compromise anything at this time. We are holding that close to our vest.
The other 2 girls that were in the car from earlier today, are they in questioning? Are they still?
Well, with everybody in the vehicle, we certainly interviewed them, and then we make the determination as to whether or not they were involved or played any role in it. And as of right now, we have not been able to make or substantiate any of their roles in it. And our job's not always to find that evidence that convicts somebody, but our job's also to exonerate somebody if they've been wrongly accused. And that's something we don't talk about a lot in law enforcement. But we also have the greater responsibility if somebody's not involved in something to ensure that we do the right thing and not charge them.
Excuse me, one more question, Ms. Baker, go ahead. And I just want to make sure that we're clarifying this. Earlier you said that at least one of them was a shooter, correct?
Yes.
And I think my last thing is really drive home that message for anybody who's watching that this will not be tolerated. I think that you guys have done a great job trying to get these folks off the street in a timely manner.
Right.
But I think it's important for people to realize that this is not okay, and it will never be okay, and it will never be tolerated.
Well, I appreciate that question, and I think that's probably great to end the press tonight. It won't be tolerated. It's not going to be tolerated regardless if I'm the chief or not the chief. At the end of the day, these children are helpless. They depend on the police department. They depend on every community leader. They depend on every preacher. They depend on mom, dad, granddaddy, aunts, uncles to protect them. And I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think a little bit of all of us have failed this baby. It won't be tolerated. And as with other cases involving our children, where we can prove cases on them, we have proved them. And we have 2 individuals. I can assure you, if more are developed, we will garner the right information, the right evidence, so we can prosecute them. I want to say one last thing, and I said it earlier, that our leaders in our community, we are all going to have to learn to put down politics, lay aside our differences, ethnicity, culture, race. If we don't stand for something, we should all agree that we want to live in a safe society. And I'm asking all of our community state leaders, even our de facto leaders in the community, join hands with the police department. Because if this baby's death won't bring us together, I'm confident nothing will. Guys, thank you for the opportunity. As more becomes available, we'll certainly keep you guys updated, okay? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, you're ready, so we can start outside.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you. All right. All right, everyone. Y'all just heard from Chief Paul Prine. We are about to head outside where the two suspects will have a perp walk. I'm going to. So if you're wanting to watch the two suspects walked out, join my next Facebook Live that I'm about to start in about 2 minutes.
Okay. 5 minutes in, realized there was an SD card in my backpack. So,
Praise God.
yeah, plug that in. And I should have brought my tripod.
All right, everyone, we are waiting for the two suspects to walk out of the back of MPD headquarters for 2 separate perp walks. That is what we are waiting on right now. We're told from Mobile Police it should be any moment now. So we are waiting on the 2 suspects to walk out of MPD headquarters, and we will see them for the first time. Still talking on the Facebook Live. We are waiting on the 2 suspects to walk out of MPD headquarters. We're told it should be any moment now. This is the first time that we're seeing them, and this is the first time they'll walk in front of our cameras. Once again, these are the 2 suspects in the murder of 9-year-old Kaylee Knight. We see Chief Paul Prime right there. Suspects should be coming down soon.
Come on, Ariel, you're proud of lady. A 9-year-old girl.
I did.
That could have been your sister.
I did. I
That
have
could
a
have been
daughter.
your daughter.
I did.
Exactly.
I did it.
So who did?
I have a daughter.
Who did?
Are you wrongly accused?
Yes.
You didn't do it.
So you weren't involved at all? You weren't in that car?
I will.
You were in the car. So who shot her? Who shot Kaylee?
I don't know.
You don't know. Your eyes were closed?
Did
You
you
didn't
know-
see who shot. You didn't see
Did you know the
who shot a
family?
gun.
No.
Do you have anything to say to the family of that little girl?
To her mother? To her
I
siblings?
didn't. Well, no, I didn't do anything, so I don't have nothing to say.
Who did it?
I don't know.
Your daughter's gonna have to watch this. You have nothing you want to say
I love you, baby.
to your family?
To my family, I love y'all. And I didn't do this, and y'all know I didn't do this, and y'all know I grew up in church, and y'all know how I am.
Then why are you getting in this car right now?
Because it was just wrong place, wrong time.
Who did it?
Ariel, this is your last chance. Who did it?
If you want to clear your
Say
name,
this
who
for
did
Kaylee,
it?
9-year-old Kaylee.
Excuse me. Lacey. Yeah, he's waiting on me, girl. Wasn't coming through.
This is one of the suspects, Ariel Curry, 22 years old. She just told our cameras that she says that she did not shoot. She says she was in the car. So according to her words right now, during her phone call, she says she did not shoot. We are now waiting for the second suspect who will have the back of MPD headquarters. I'm going to remain live on our Facebook stream.
Give me just a minute. Come on in and see. Give me just a second. Hold on.
Now we are waiting on 19-year-old Tyrone Williams. Okay, we are waiting on.
You got a car here?
Yes, it's on the other side of it. A little longer than
What do you? You're already talking. What is it? Did you do this?
I don't know.
They're accusing you of this.
What did you
You're a
do?
9-year-old girl.
do
You're
nothing.
19.
Get out my
You just
face.
threw your whole life away and you took
I didn't
Kaylee's.
do nothing wrong.
You have nothing you want to say.
I ain't do nothing
Do you have
wrong.
anything
So
to
were
say
you in
to
the
the
car?
family of the little girl that died?
Were you in the car that night?
I ain't do nothing wrong at all.
Were you
I'm
in the
telling
car that
y'all.
night?
We've been told that one of you pulled the trigger. Pulled the trigger. Did you have a gun that night?
And
Did you
your
fire
friend
it?
just said she didn't do it.
Anything you want to say to the victim's family, to Kaylee's family?
Felony
I'm
murder.
sorry for y'all. I'm sorry for y'all lost, but the mama know. Her mama know I ain't do nothing wrong. Like they mama know I ain't do nothing wrong, so she should say that in court.
Do you know her mother? Have you met the family before?
Anything you want to say, this is your last chance. A 9-year-old girl. A 9-year-old girl.
I'm so sorry.
9 years old.
Nothing wrong, though.
So you were there, but you didn't do anything. This is your last chance. A 9-year-old girl. That could have been your cousin, your sister, anybody.
What you mean my last chance?
Your last chance to say something. Her family is watching, 9 years old.
Hold on, let's reset.
I'm so sorry. You know, y'all, she know. Why was I?
Well, your beef was with the young guy. That
No,
was
it
that
wasn't.
15-year-old. No, it wasn't. So how was he involved in this? Why were you there?
My beef, I'm with you. What y'all talking
Why
about?
were you there that
All right,
night?
Jermaine, that's good.
Your beef was with that. If your beef wasn't with her brother, who was it with?